Hello, I'm Chip Stites, and welcome to the Laughing Retirement. I get a lot of questions about Italy, and the two biggest questions I get are, is it safe to live in Italy? And it kind of makes me laugh, but I'm going to address that in a different video. Second question I get is, well, what about the healthcare? Now, that's one that to me makes sense, because you should be concerned about your healthcare. You should be concerned about what it'll cost and how it works, et cetera, et cetera. Italy has an excellent healthcare delivery system. As a matter of fact, according to the World Health Organization, it's ranked second in the entire world, second only to France. France is, as I understand it, is less expensive, but anytime you get a large healthcare system that's universal in nature, it has issues. There's nothing without issues, including the one in the United States. The biggest difference between the two that I have found is the language issue. And anytime you go to a foreign country and you wind up with a doctor that you got to talk to in a different language, you got to do a little preparation, but I'll come back to that in just a second. We just paid our healthcare for a year. And I want to show you this. I want to show you this total, and I hope you can see it. It's $387.34, or €387.34. That's for me. For my wife, it's exactly the same thing. It's a fixed cost that'll never change over our entire lives. The long story short is that's 774 euro and 68 centimi. The difference of about 10%, that's $75 added onto the 74. So that makes it about $850, give or take. My wife and I's total cost for the year for our health insurance at current exchange rates is $850. After 6 months living in Italy, if you get your permesso di soggiorno and your carta d'identità, in other words, you get your visa and your identity card, you can join the national healthcare system. And depending upon the province you're in, you either have a payment that's determined by income and age, or you have a payment that's determined by age. In our case, it was age. So for Sean and me, the total was €774.68. At about a 10% exchange rate, that amounts to a little bit more than $850 for a year with no deductible. In the United States, we were paying $1,460 a month with a $6,000 deductible each. Huge difference. Once you realize the savings and the difference between the two, your next concern is, okay, if they're speaking Italian and I'm speaking English and I'm new in the country and I'm just learning my Italian, what do I do? Been there. I prepared. I took my translator and reverso contexto, and I translated the questions I had for my doctor, and I read them. And if I didn't understand her, I had her print them. Let her write them out. They'll do it. That's the tough part. But after a few years and after studying the language and after learning, et cetera, and living here, we communicate pretty well without a tremendous problem. I still, when I go in to see the doctor, if I got a problem with a knee or my shoulder's bothering me or I have a cough, I make sure I look up the words and sentences that I want to know to go in and talk to that doctor. And then if I don't understand, I keep saying non capisco and ask her to repeat it until we get it. That's the hard part. The good part is that if you have a serious problem, you have to go to a specialist, as we have. Most specialists in an area, you can find somebody that speaks English. So you've got somebody who speaks English in an area, or you find a nurse that speaks English to translate, and you've got a doctor, often who speaks English. We found in the area of urinary, in the area of cancer, in the area of radiology, in a number of areas. We've always run into specialists who speak English here in Italy. It's been a tremendous help. It's given us a lot of security, and we've had some problems. I had a serious problem in the middle of COVID, and I couldn't get into the hospital, and they wanted me to wait for 2 months, and I didn't want that kind of pain for 2 months. So I switched over to the private system, which you can do just like that. I had 2 operations. I spent about a week and a half in the hospital. Now you figure out what that cost would be. 2 operations, 2 doctors, 2 anesthesiologists, 2 operating rooms, 2 separate radiologists, and a total of about 5 hours in the OR. My total bill for the whole thing was $13,000. That was it. How much would that have been in the United States? And supposing you had to wait for COVID, you couldn't switch to a private system. The system is the system. In this case, I could switch. We are extremely happy with our Italian system, and we're extremely happy with our Italian doctors. Has it been a chore at times? Sure it has. Anytime you switch from one language to another language, from one culture to another culture, you're going to find differences. But I'm telling you something, the healthcare system is not something you need to worry about. It's something you need to check on and go to the place where you're living and find out about the doctors. We couldn't be happier. For the cost and what we're getting back, absolutely incredible. And you will find that France and Portugal are much the same. And I think you'll also find Spain, while a little bit more expensive, is much the same. But my knowledge is of Italy. Italy is a great place to live. And it gives us a lot of opportunities that we wouldn't have anywhere else. One of them is an excellent, inexpensive healthcare system that will give you good healthcare with doctors at various levels who speak English. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like this video, and join us at the Laughing Retirement, won't you?